The footage is gonna be crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Small steps. If you want me to. 1, 2. Nice and easy.
Oh wow, that's
Cool
spooky.
stuff, right?
If you're like me, you're a photographer who loves to travel but has a whole load of gear. Obviously, bringing all this gear is not feasible, especially if you're trying to pack light. We have to make the most of our trips while still being able to capture the shot. I am gonna show you what I call the holy trinity of travel gear that I recently took with me on a winter trip to Iceland that will fit in a carry-on or a backpack. The gear that I have packed will allow you to easily vlog, take photos, including the Northern Lights, and take videos that I dare say look
cinematic.
But before I show you my loadout, you might be thinking to yourself, gear doesn't matter, I'll just shoot everything on my smartphone. You're not completely wrong. A smartphone will be able to do all the things I previously mentioned, but there are some critical drawbacks that I think you should be aware of. Firstly, you're limited by battery. When you're traveling, you're gonna be using your phone for other things besides taking footage. You're gonna be using it to make calls, to look up restaurants, for navigation, and so forth. You don't wanna be limited by what footage you can get just by your phone's battery. Last thing you want is your phone to die on you when you're lost in the middle of nowhere. Second is bad audio. I am recording this on my iPhone 11 right now. Here's my lav mic, it's completely off. And you can probably hear a significant difference in the audio quality. The phone's native microphone is subpar compared to a proper lav mic or a shotgun mic. If you're recording videos for, let's say, YouTube on your travels, audio is one of the few things you never want to cheap out on. Okay, I'm back on my lav mic, back to good audio. Thirdly, your smartphone has really bad low light capabilities compared to a proper DSLR. If you are chasing the Northern Lights, your smartphone photos will get way more grain compared to a DSLR image. The colors will also look muted, which will detract from the beauty of your image. Stick around till the end of the video to see the gear I brought that helped me capture my Northern Light photos. It's a lot less gear than you may think. Now, you don't need every single piece of gear that I'm about to go over, and I'm not gonna lie to you, the costs do add up. But it is something to think about. Remember, gear is always a game of trade-offs. One piece of gear may be better for one certain use case, whereas it'll be completely garbage for a different use case. The first item on my list is my favorite vlogging camera, the GoPro Hero 12. I am not being paid by GoPro to say any of this. I bought this GoPro kit with my own money. You don't need this exact model or a GoPro necessarily. Any action camera will do. I got the GoPro with accessories bundles, and it came with a handler and a head mount. The handler allows me to comfortably grip my camera as I'm walking around Iceland, especially in bad weather.
We're outside right now. It's super windy. We're in Vic, right by the Black Sand Beach.
And the head mount allows me to capture POV shots on hikes where both of my hands are required to coordinate. You can see here my glacier hike was a perfect use case since I can just mount the GoPro on my helmet and focus on keeping my balance on the ice. The GoPro also let me capture one of the coolest things I've ever seen from such a unique perspective.
The footage is gonna be crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Small steps. If you want me to. 1, 2. Nice and easy. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1. Nice and easy.
Oh wow, that's
Cool
spooky.
stuff, right?
Yeah.
You can look to your right and left. Let me
right.
get out of your.
Yo, that's gnarly.
Always a little terrifying.
Incredible. The second item is my DJI Mini 2 drone. This drone is very compact. As you can see, when it's fully folded up, it's basically the size of the palm of my hand. The remote control is also not as huge. As you can see, pretty much also the size of my hand. The drone allowed me to get footage from points of interest from various overhead angles. I was able to see the top of waterfalls and the stream where they came from. I was also able to fly over ice lakes that were too dangerous to walk over. Unfortunately, the wind and hailstorms were so strong during my trip, there were not as many opportunities to fly the drone as much as I wanted to. If you're interested in buying any of this gear, please support the channel by buying them via my Amazon affiliate links in the description below. Your monetary support will allow me to increase my production quality so that I can bring you even better content. Now, for the last piece of gear, I'm sure it's pretty obvious that you can guess what it is by now, but if you're going to get photos of the Northern Lights, it is probably the most important piece of gear, and that is a proper DSLR or mirrorless camera will take photos where the quality is way better than a smartphone's. My main shooter is a Canon R8, which is exactly what I brought on my trip, as well as a 24-70 f2.8 lens. The Canon R8 is a mirrorless full-frame camera, so you know it can handle low light really well. The 24-70 f2.8 lens is my go-to travel lens since it's a jack of all trades and it can give me some wide angle and light telephoto at each of the focal length limits. I also brought a tripod and spare batteries. The tripod is necessary, especially if you're shooting long exposure shots for the Northern Lights, star photos, or even waterfalls. It's pretty obvious that Iceland in the winter is really damn cold. That is why I brought a spare battery with me, since I knew I would be shooting heavy photo and video, plus the cold would be murdering my battery life. It is challenging to take photos in the dark winter days in Iceland. To help you with that, check out my video on night photography.